Hey folks, today we're looking at a few different radios here from Sony. First off is the SRF-18, which is a AM/FM radio that also has an audio-in option, which means you can hook up an MP3 player or some other device using one of these little 3.5mm cables. It does come with this very thin cable, but it's nice of them to include it. So the unit here itself got this rather impressive grill, which reminds me a lot of a boombox from the 1980s. On top is a tuning and a band selector. On the side is the volume audio out for recording radio, and headphones, and it does do stereo headphones. They sound okay, not to write home about, but they do sound decent. And then on the side here is the power selector and the audio in jack. So one thing that's really unique about this model is that you can have something plugged into the audio in and still switch over to radio. Usually when you plug something into an audio in jack, let's say like the Melloson M7, which I reviewed a couple weeks ago, it takes over the whole device. So also takes two AA batteries in the back. It's pretty lightweight, smaller than I thought it would be. I guess I should have read the dimensions better. The speakers are really small too. Like this big grill, you'd think that they were taking up, you know, a larger space, but really there's a little guy there and a little speaker there, and that's it. And unfortunately that really affects the sound. I was pretty disappointed with the sound on this guy. It's super tinny. Find a strong station. I'm in a tough spot for reception here. I did try the reception at home, and I would say it's okay. Sony manual radios seem to have decent reception for the most part, and this guy does alright. There's jazz, and you know, I like more bass than a lot of people do, but it's pretty tinny. It really sounds like two tiny speakers, like you turned a set of headphones up, you know, loudly. Yeah, reception is pretty good as well. But you know, if you wanted to listen to mainly talk radio or AM or really anything, you're going to be better off with the Icf F10 MK2, which is a little bit smaller, although I think the speakers are about the same size, but strangely this has a nicer sound to it.
Was actually decreasing. The risk of going to the streets was decreasing simply because
it's not as tinny. I don't know if that's because it's not even really that much wider. I don't know why, but it's not nearly as thin and pinched sounding as the SRF-18. So the SRF-18 is going back to Amazon, especially considering that it was $33. For that money, for only a couple dollars more, you could get the Melloson M7, which I know is a, you know, strange Chinese no-brand radio, but the sound was much better out of that, even though I only had a single speaker. And it also had digital tuning and a couple other features. So I would recommend that over this guy if you want the audio line in. If you just want a small radio, I think the Icf S10 is a good one. The other radio I got from Sony I'm more happy with, and this is the Icf F10. Not to be confused with the S10. They actually sent me an S10 when I first ordered one. But one thing I like about Sony is that, here's the box for it. They, with their packaging, when the product's new, they create packaging for it, and then it's like they never change the packaging. So this one, looked at the manual, I think it came out about 1995. Not a real widely available radio, like on the Sony website. You can only find it on like their Middle East and European website, which is kind of interesting. But it takes 2 D batteries, which gives it a little extra heft. You know, it comes with a lanyard to put through there, but you know, you're not going to be, you know, putting this around your wrist and running around on the beach with it. It's a pretty weighty little guy. Very basic. On the side, you've got your power switch, which also is your band selector. Earphone, mono only, and it mutes the radio when you plug it in. On the back, got your battery compartment. You can see the back of the 4-inch speaker there. Of course, telescoping FM antenna. And one thing I like about the looks of it is that it, you know, it looks retro, but it's not like cloyingly retro like a turquoise, you know, pink radio or whatever. It's sort of subtly nostalgic, and I do remember 1995, and most things didn't look like this. There would have been a lot more silver or black, I think, but it's got this sort of brown color to it. Now, the important part, of course, is, you know, how does it sound? And it sounds great. The get it tuned in here. This is a FM public radio station, KPLU, which is about 40 miles away from here in Tacoma, Washington. Comes in clear. Not perfectly clear, but that's to be expected with a radio. My larger table radio that has a big external antenna gets it clear, but this is certainly clear enough. I do notice a lot of some bleed over when you're going between stations on FM, more so than I do with other radios.
On the hot 8 at 8.
You gotta really lock it in. What I like about the speaker, it's got a nice range to it. You know, the lows are clear. It doesn't cause distortion. Highs are good. Even the mids are come in clear. It's a really well balanced sound to it. The Millicent M7, which was you know, smaller radio than this, definitely more portable, was really tuned more on the bass end, which made it get to become distorted a lot easier. This thing you can really crank up, and the distortion, you don't get any sound distortion. I've turned it about 3/4 of the way up, and it still sounded real clear. So it's a keeper. I have no practical use for this radio, since I have a radio in here and I've got radios and speakers everywhere. But you know, if you have a good radio for your garage or for a larger room where you want to be able to crank it up, you know, with purported 200 hours of battery life off the 2D batteries, yeah, it's you could leave it somewhere and, you know, probably not have to change the batteries for a long time. AM reception is it's decent as well. It's particularly rough in this building, so I won't hurt your ears by trying to focus in on a station. But I was able to get the 2 sports radio stations here, which is the main reason I'll ever listen to AM. Both pretty clearly. And the tuner knob is big and pretty sensitive. It's a little easier to tune than, say, the small but sensitive knob of the S10. So, highly recommended radio. Oh, this guy was only about $16, I think, on Amazon, which seems like a steal, especially considering that the SRF 18 was, you know, double plus that. The S10 MK2 is you can buy all over the place. I bought this at Walgreens drugstore for about $10. Doesn't have the sound of this big guy, but it's certainly a lot more portable. All right, well, if you have any questions, leave them in the comments there. I had an unsightly callus, which is why I have this Band-Aid on. Hopefully that wasn't too distracting for you. And I also got a tripod, so it's a little less jittery now. All right, well, I'll see you guys later.